financial influencers and the kind of Ponzi schemes that are floating around. So have you come across senior citizens who share their rags to riches story on platforms like YouTube, like Instagram? And have you come across a youngster who boasts about his or her extraordinary success by investing in some dubious scheme? Well, welcome to the dark underbelly of the digital world. If you thought pickpockets and thieves are mostly found in trains, in buses and bazaars, you need to think again, because the government of India is now becoming increasingly aware of these fraudsters who are masking as financial influencers or finfluencers, like we call them. They are bombarding social media users with all kinds of Ponzi schemes. The Finance Minister, Nirmala Sitharaman, she's spoken about them, and she's issued a word of caution to those looking at making a quick buck. She's talked about the importance of protecting hard-earned money. Listen to this.
If there are 3 or 4 people giving us very objective good advice, there are 7 others out of 10 who are probably driven by some other considerations. There are also apps which are coming out and reaching out to people saying, we can do this, we can do that, your money will fetch you this much. Many of whom are Ponzi, the apps on which we are working with the ministry concerned, the MeitY ministry, and with the Reserve Bank, and clamping down on them like never before, so that we don't get those Ponzi apps taking away hard-earned money. So social influencers, influential influencers are all out there, but a very strong sense of caution is required in each one of us to make sure that we do double-checking, counter-checking, talking with people. Don't go as a flock into something because somebody else has gone and you also go without doing your due diligence. We have to be careful. It's our hard-worked money.
Well, that's what the Finance Minister has said. There are important questions being raised over there, like why do ordinary investors fall prey to these financial influencers and the kind of Ponzi schemes that are floating around? How do these online tricksters, how do they get away with these pump and dump kind of schemes? And the other big question that we're asking is, which are the biggest clues, the red flags that you must watch out for when it comes to identifying fraudulent influencers? Let's ask these questions to Mrin Agarwal. She's founder and director of FinSave, and Chandralekha is also joining us, CMA CIA. She's a finance content creator. Great to have you both with us. Do tell me, Mrin, at the very outset, how difficult is it really to spot these Ponzi schemes? How easy is it for investors actually to fall prey to them, in your opinion?
Well, it's all a matter of greed. And, Vikram, the main thing is that most Ponzi schemes attract investors with high returns. And I think the real red flag is that it sounds too good to be true. So I think that's what people really need to watch out for, that if there's something sounding too good to be true, it is. And I'll give you an example. I think, there are many small companies who, for example, might be making stock baskets, or you find companies saying that we'll be doing commodity trading and we'll give you a minimum of this much percentage and stuff like that. So, in normal instruments where you cannot get a fixed return, if somebody's promising you and saying, I'm going to give you 20% a month and returns like that, that's a big, big red flag. So anybody giving you 5 to 7% fixed return over and above what you can get in a bank is a big, big red flag.
Jump in on this. Is it increasingly difficult to separate the wheat from the chaff when it comes to financial influencers, the good ones from the bad ones, the Ponzi schemes from the good schemes that are being talked about by some of you?
Yes. So I personally believe that, all these things, there are very, very nuances over here. Okay. So when we talk about Ponzi schemes, okay, the recent ones like the pump and dump scheme, right? So it is very important for the people to actually understand the intent behind such kind of a promotion or such kind of a scheme that is being, carried out. It is extremely important for the people to understand the intent behind such a call taken. And the next one is, as we were speaking about red flags and, influencers talking about different schemes, very recently I was watching a video, or past video of Mr. Rakesh Junjunwala, and he said if he is able to earn 25% returns in the market, then he feels he's a king. And this is said by Mr. Rakesh Junjunwala. But people who are actually watching this video and falling prey to it are assuming they can double and triple their money in a short period of time, which is practically impossible. And those are the basics which people will have to understand before they fastly jump into something, because you cannot become rich that quick. If then there is something definitely that's wrong, and people are in need and they just very easily fall into these things, and that's the biggest red flag. Follow the people, follow the experts who are in the field, know what they are earning. Then you can know, okay, I'm actually, will I be able to earn so much? If I am able to, then that means it's a scheme. So
but
be careful of it.
decoding the intent, Chandalekha, that is an important one for investors who are not exposed to the financial universe. And many of them are young, many of them are senior citizens, and that's where the help is required, and that's where an influencer comes in. But clearly, the influencer space, especially financial influencers, they are coming under a lot of scrutiny now, as far as I see it, because we talk about it day in and day out. Now, you have the finance minister speaking about this as well. There are certain laws that would be put in place to be able to control the kind of content that financial influencers put out. So, are the concerns, the corrections, the control, in your opinion, valid?
Yes, absolutely valid, because everything which Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman ji said is absolutely valid. This space has to be regulated, because this is very important. It is about wealth, and if there's no regulation, then people are going to lose a lot of money. Now, coming to the intent, as you said, it is very difficult to understand, right? Because people trust you. But let me tell you that these influencers, they come in different variations. Okay, you have three buckets in finance content creation. The first is the knowledge and awareness, second is opinion, and third is advice. It is very important to categorize these into three buckets. Now, if somebody is actually, imparting knowledge, giving awareness to someone, telling about the existence of a particular investment opportunity, then that is not something that can be called as an advice or can be taken straight. Now, the second comes the opinion. So where this comes in is you have knowledge and you have different perspectives about something, and you compare these things and give people your opinion. And this is again a gray area. So it depends on the influencer onto how much they are pushing you to get into something. And if that is stretching you, then definitely you're in the wrong place. And the third one is advice. Obviously, straight, direct advice that are given about a particular product, that are given about a particular stock, trading calls. These are things that fall into this category. And this is where extra regulation is definitely required. And now, as a personal finance influencer myself, I fall into the first two categories, where I'm always balancing out the knowledge and the opinion and trying to give the best to the people with absolute disclaimers.
Which we hope a lot more influencers do, Chandalekha. But Mrin, do you see the evolving profile of investors who track the online universe and fall for these Ponzi schemes? Are the demographics and profile of these investors changing? Who among them are more vulnerable?
Only talking about these pump and dump schemes and these Ponzi schemes, but to me, I think and the senior citizens, of course, have all of this phishing and all of this. But to me, I think from what I see, I think it's the young generation that is getting completely wrongly influenced by the influencers. So I'll give you some examples. It's not only about getting providing clickbaits, for example. It's also about what some of these influencers with millions of followers are talking about, right? And some of the more prominent ones, for example, they're talking about one strategy fitting everybody. Like, I saw an influencer who has more like couple of million followers talking about how asset allocation needs to be done in 30s. And we all know that personal finance is personal. You cannot have a generic asset allocation for people in 30s. Another influencer who recently was trying to sell insurance products before March 31st, saying that this is the best product for retirement. You've got influencers who are talking about how I made my first million. And then there are people giving you all sorts of hacks, like saying that, okay, so, the good thing about credit card is that, you'll have extra salary for 20 days or some crazy thing like that, right? So, I think it's not only about the clickbaits, right? To me today, a lot of young generation is actually following these people and building all the wrong financial habits, and I think that's a bigger worry as well.
Yeah, but what are the challenges then, Rin, to be able to control this entire space? Because regulation at one end, and then you have over-regulation as well, which sometimes cuts down the kind of freedom that you enjoy within the online universe in terms of content creation. Is that a problem area, you think? Is that going to be a challenge for the government, for the regulators?
Not really, and I think that you can have a balance in the regulation as well. I mean, obviously, it's always buyer beware, and it's unfortunate that people are not aware of this. And, I would like to say this very openly that a lot of financial influencers, who are doing these 1 or 2 minute reels, at best, these are like some little hacks that can save you a little bit of money. It really cannot grow your wealth in the long term. So, I think, if we can get the right messaging, if the regulator can get the right messaging across on buyer beware, like, the mass media campaigns that are being done on phishing, for example, you need something similar like that. The other thing that I think is really required is that certainly I don't think that financial influencers should be allowed to promote brands. And, I know that there is a disclosure that they need to give, but even then, I think if you are promoting it, then you probably need to have things like riskometers available for most products, right? So there is always going to be this thought to say that, are we over regulating or not? But given the fact that our financial literacy levels, even among educated, are so low in India, probably over regulation might work better.
Do you agree? There are always trends that one follows, and perhaps what Mrin is indicating is that we need more reels which really talk about, how you can stay away from Ponzi schemes. You need that much more financial literacy. Is enough happening over there? Is that a new avenue of growth, perhaps, for influencers like you?
So let me tell you very clearly where this comes in. So as we were talking about, like whether there should be regulation or whether there should not be regulation, definitely there has to be a balance. So now when a influencer talks about a lot of schemes available, not just the mutual funds, we all talk about even the government schemes, a lot of things available. And these people might not even, have any awareness about it and are getting aware. That's a positive outcome. Now the negative outcome is promotion, where the same influencer is promoting a product that's harmful to the follower. And that is where firstly the responsibility of the influencer comes in, and next is people, and next is government. So firstly, in order for that responsibility to come in, government will have to strictly bring in some regulations. Like, for example, the promotion tag, which was made mandated by the government. It is required for every influencer to explicitly tell to your followers that this is promoted. And in case they're not saying, it is the responsibility of the watcher also to tell, if you're promoting it, you need to mention it. That's the first disclaimer. And these are the things, we can start off with. And things like Ponzi scheme and things like quick get rich quickly, those are the things which are very difficult to regulate, because it is very easy for people to fall into these traps.
Well, financial literacy is something that we really need, and perhaps we need to lean towards our influencers. But like both of you are saying, that there is a need for regulation, because at the end of the day, it's hard-earned money. The finance minister also pointed out the fact that this is hard-earned money which is at play, and we need to protect it in whatever way, with whatever regulations that need to be put in place. But Mrin, as far as red flags go, in the meantime, while these regulations are still being discussed, I'm sure that there will be some kind of interplay with the public to understand how these regulations can be put in place and how they can be followed as well. In the meantime, what are the red flags that investors, you think, should watch out for? Chandralekha listed a few. Would you like to add more?
Yeah, so I talked about, returns too good to be true. I would also say that somewhere, people should understand that just by watching a 4 to 5 minute video, that's not how you can learn money management, right? Like in any other field where you need to do a good amount of reading up and the right amount of reading up, there's no quick fix to this, and there's nothing known as quick money, right? To grow your wealth, there are a series of steps that you need to take. And I think, that's what we need to make people aware of, that, just watching a 5 minute video and trying out something is really not going to help you build your wealth, right? And hence they should, I think somewhere people also need to change their mindset. I do see this very often, that people want to get rich very quickly and want to use all sorts of shortcuts, but unfortunately none of these work. The other thing that people need to be aware of is that the financial influencer's risk profile is going to be very different from that of the individual. Like, for example, there was a big e-com promoter, and it was said that when he bought a particular IPO, he made a couple of crores in like 8 minutes. And, I also feel that such sort of sensationalization of headlines needs to stop. If we really care about investors, we need to stop putting out things like this, saying that this guy made a couple of crores in 8 minutes, right? So I think, all the stakeholders around, there are enough red flags, honestly. But the point is that I think all the stakeholders around need to get more responsible, whether it is individuals, whether it is, the media. And at the same time, the government also would really need to carry out some mass media campaigns. And the bottom line of all of this is greed, right? So it really lies on the investor to realize that, all of this, you really can't make money quickly, right? So I really feel that if we work on these narratives, probably, it can impact a wider audience.
Possibility of having quick wealth or quick additions to wealth, that is something that you need to be most wary about, as our experts are telling us tonight. And of course, regulation is required. How it's going to be put in place, how much of that is going to be put in place, will that curtail the kind of freedom that we have in content creation right now? That remains to be seen. But the need for it has been pointed out by both Mrin Agarwal and Chandralekha. Many thanks for joining us with your opinion on India Tonight. Pleasure having you with us.
Thank you.